What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down what really moved in, go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So holy crap, Batman. New 52-week high for SoFi, 28.58. Things are going ballistic across the board. So SoFi did close 3.57% in the green. A lot of different things moving the market. So one, the market was digesting still what Powell mentioned, still trying to figure out what that does mean for a lot of stocks, different sectors. We had a massive blockbuster deal between Nvidia and Intel. So that is what really kickstarted a lot of kind of growth stocks to really move higher. Didn't really help SoFi until the newest and most latest analyst rating did get posted, and then this is where you saw things go up like crazy. So I got an email notification somewhere around that 9:30 mark, roughly around here, saying that Mizuho did give a rating, and Dan, who does have a 53% success rating, gave a $31 buy. That is crazy. As I've mentioned, this is exactly what's going to happen. You're going to have analysts somewhat fighting over the highest rating. And because essentially they're sheep, right? They wait up until SoFi has ran up like a good 40-50%. Then they say, hey, you know what? It's actually worth blah, blah, blah. So $31, the new highest analyst rating. And so that's a good thing. So most likely we're going to be seeing more of these types of analyst ratings. So in the $30 range and above. So definitely very welcoming to see. As a consensus, $20.61 is that price target, representing a 26.68% downside. So aside from the last 3-4 ratings, everyone is kind of just left in the dust for the most part. So I think a lot of them do need to give some re-ratings given the circumstances and everything. Earlier today, we did also have initial jobless claims, Philly Fed manufacturing index, both coming in better than anticipated. So that's what gave also the market a nice justified reason to kind of essentially move higher, because since we got our 25 basis point cut yesterday, we don't really need, right now at least, negative data to justify future cuts. So in general, we can actually go back to normal where positive data is positive and interpreted as positive. Aside from that though, SoFi didn't put out any news today. Anthony did give a little bit more of an Easter egg, so I'll kind of talk about that in a second. But there was a 144 that just came out, and ultimately that was this right here. So Jeremy did sell 98,000 shares, and this is over and above his recent transaction that did occur a couple days back. So it is what it is. Can't really stop these individuals from selling. And it was a straight up sell, not for tax purposes or anything along those lines. Short, surprisingly though, did break their trend and increased 1.22 million shares. So maybe they just call BS and they just don't want SoFi to go up a little bit higher, or maybe they're trying to stop it from getting to that $28 range, because once I go over the options, it'll make a little bit more sense on why they wouldn't want SoFi to be at 28. But Anthony did post something. So I'll give you a quick overview of that. So you can kind of see the poll by Bill, who has 720,000 followers, investor, and whatever else. But he does say, now seems highly probable that a new payment alternative emerges in the US, replacing credit card and debit cards on top of stablecoin rails. Just to obviously damn efficient and blah, blah, blah. So options are Apple, Amazon, Google, Coinbase, Square. Obviously, I'm going to choose this one, but Circle, Tether, DAI, and New Startup. So kind of evenly divided for the most part. But Anthony surprisingly did post something, and he responded. And so he kind of says that, hey, you know what? Having a national bank charter gives you a competitive advantage. That's a little bit more of the story, kind of a very quick summary. So in general, going back over here, can you tell me who has a bank charter? That kind of is a good insight to who and what is going to really thrive in the foreseeable future. So even though he's not really saying anything, he is alluding that SoFi is going to be kind of a leading contender in this field. So yeah, big things are going to be coming for SoFi. We'll just have to kind of wait and see and be patient. But then again, honestly, patience has really, really paid off for SoFi. Again, like I mentioned, over the last 1 month, up 20%, last 6 months, 128%. 20%. Things are looking amazing. And as I've brought up, Elliott Wave Technicals is projecting for it to be roughly around that 30 plus range. Looking at the options today, we had 100 million in calls, 14 million in puts, 47% of all the options being done, bullish in nature, and 12.2 million in net premiums. So SoFi definitely is heating up like crazy. Looking at this coming from a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around, it looks like between 28.50 and 29, some outliers at 30. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe SoFi did have kind of strike prices all the way up to 40 before. I know in some other cases, market makers have been adding a lot of kind of chains and whatnot to a lot of other stocks, but I do believe that SoFi did get added 36 to 40. Again, correct me if I'm wrong for that, but if they did add that, then realistically, market makers feel like that is a possibility to come. So in general, that's very, very optimistic if you ask me. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 27.50. So the fact that we are at kind of 28 plus definitely shows that there's a lot more upside. But going to the open interest, so you do have 22,000 at that 28, 16,000 and 29, 41,000 at that 30. 21,000 at the 25, 12,000 at the 26. My apologies for going all over. I know I'm not really going in order, but again, maybe this is why shorts really were starting to kind of break their trend, and because they wanted to keep SoFi at least attempt below 28.50. That way they have that 22,000 and potentially above expire worthless. So we haven't really seen shorts wake up like this in almost a solid 3 weeks. So it's not really anything to worry about in my opinion. On the secondary market, there's been a lot of crazy transactions that just happened, and all of which, for the most part, are buys. So looking under the secondary market, and one thing I like about the secondary market, you can actually see the bid, the ask, and the selling price. That isn't clear on the dark pool, but on the secondary market, you see the bid, the ask, and the selling price. So someone really wanted to get in enough that it was actually above the ask. So you had a 4 million, 1.2, 23.8, 23.8, 1.06, 1.2, 7.7, 4.3, 1.05. So big money really, really wanted to get in. A couple of different reasons why. Of course, this week is quad witching week. So I think in general, there's a lot of activity associated to options. Plus, you do have roughly around a week and a half, 2 weeks before the end of Q3. So you might be seeing some institutions starting to rebalance. Although given SoFi's recent performance, I don't know if institutions would be buying SoFi, because again, if they have a certain percentage fixed, they would be kind of selling SoFi, if that kind of makes sense, only because SoFi has largely outperformed the broader market, most stocks out there. So if they are rebalancing, logically they would be selling SoFi. But even looking here, you see a lot more transactions: 3.3, 3.5, 2.06, 2.2, 97. Big money massively getting in. And actually, that reminds me, I did not bring up the overall volume. So 71.01 million shares being traded, 65.2 is the average. These are some of the transactions that did occur on the dark pool, so a little bit more active. But then again, I think with dark pool, it's often enough used by shorts and hedge funds. And with shorts increasing their activity today, this is clearly where they did hide a lot of their transactions. And one thing I did start to do, I don't know if some of you have caught on yet, but my last 2 days, I actually did a pre-market video under my other YouTube channel, Financial Journey. I still talk about SoFi, key levels, and whatever else, but there is more and more stocks I do cover on this channel. So I'm starting to cover more Resolve, SoundHound, and just random other stocks as well. So I don't want to overwhelm the algorithm, if that kind of makes sense. So for right now, I'm going to be continuing to do the pre-market video under Financial Journey. Definitely recommend a lot of you to pop over there and kind of take a look if you're interested for SoFi pre-market type of stuff. But nonetheless, just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that. But one thing I did bring up in my pre-market was this 27.96. That was going to be a key point for SoFi to get above. And SoFi honestly blew past that like it was nothing. Like it kind of struggled a little bit right here, but honestly, one or two big buys, it just blew past that like crazy. So yeah, 27.96 will be a strong support. Just kind of watch for that. And then on the table, 30.25. Might be a little bit unrealistic to assume that it's going to be coming tomorrow, but at least in the next couple of trading days, you can kind of see that and see that as a target. So again, 30.25 potentially on the table. And you never know, if we get one or two new bullish ratings, then it could easily propel SoFi up quite significantly. Aside from all of that fun stuff on the actual chart itself, things are looking pretty good. There's not really any negatives to bring up. No real crazy walls to really pay attention to. No articles really coming out associated to SoFi just yet. And then on here, you see algos a little bit kind of normal. They haven't really been increasing or doing anything more than what they have been. So honestly, it's just FOMO. Market FOMO, and I'm not complaining whatsoever. So let me know your general thoughts on SoFi. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What is your general kind of 2 cents on everything? Do you think that SoFi is just too high? Do you think that it's due for a pullback? What's your kind of 2 cents on everything? One final thing, if you are looking for some solid day trades, swing trades, or whatever else, pop over to my Patreon. I give daily day trades, a lot of swing trades. My most recent one that I did put out was this stock right over here. So ticker is SNPS, went up a solid 12.86%. I did signal that this was a buy at 388. So definitely worthwhile to pop over to the Patreon, link in the description below and also the comments. And with all that, you appreciate all of you guys watching.